So I feel proud that I've got this like I'm trying to find like the right word for it, but it's I have my own methodology to cooking, which I don't think it's like anything new, but it's just incredibly lazy, but it's been working out for me. So
Is that just like the air fryer or?
Well, it's not just the air fryer. It's just like the whole idea of just throwing shit into a pot and then adding fire or some sort of heat element and then seeing what comes out at the end. I was just telling you how like I'm fucking excited that I made what I'm calling, which I'm pretty sure everyone's done this at some point, but I'm thawing a chicken thigh in the fridge, and I'm just gonna have this for lunch. So I'm preparing this during a meeting because I just can't give a fuck anymore. But usually when you're like breading a chicken, making your own fried chicken, even if it's in the air fryer or not, it's just you flour your chicken, you dip it in the egg, you dip it in the breadcrumbs, and then into the heat element of your choosing. That's all good, well and good. But then you have like these 3 fucking stations, and you don't know what the fuck you're gonna do with it. People just throw it away, and I'm like, my dude, I've been through like I've been through what it's like when you're end of the month. When there's like a negative sign in your bank account. So
Bro, have you ever had sleep for dinner?
Oh yeah, I've had sleep for dinner on many occasions. It's rough, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna be wasteful. What if I like? This should be a no-brainer. Why doesn't everyone do this? I don't need to throw this away. I'm just gonna chuck this shit together and see what happens. So, like, I don't know the first thing of baking, and I'm too much of a lazy fuck to just Google, like, oh, what to do with leftover baking stuff. So I'm just, like, just, like, sticking into, like, this little eggy mush ball, and then I just add some flavoring, seasonings. Oh, this should be good. Maybe some garlic powder, some fucking cheese, and I'm like, okay, cool. Once the chicken's done cooking, I'm gonna just put these on a parch machine, put it in the air fryer, see what the fuck happens. And lo and behold, I now have biscuits to go with my fucking chicken, and it's pretty good. Like you can't really tell because I've kind of been muting in the middle of taking bites, but I mean it's mediocre, but it's good. I can eat it, and I'm like just having this epiphany. I'm like, is this just what cooking is? Are all these people who are like the big super mega chef hats, like who know all the science and all this, and then you have like a bunch of cavemans heating up stones, like taking a bird's nest out of the air and like cracking eggs on a rock and frying it like that. And I'm like, man, do people just when we were just discovering cooking, is it really just as basic as like I'm just gonna put shit together and see what happens?
I mean,
I think you just made hardtack.
I think that's what like at least that's what I did when my friend was like, "Hey, have you tried upping your noodle game?" Like, fuck it, put an egg in it, like crack an egg in my cup noodles.
Oh yeah, that's the good shit.
That's the good shit.
So the technique I've derived when I still bought like huge fucks of like ramen noodles was I would like forego the soup. Well, not really. I'd have like a saucepan and I'd have like a bunch of water in it and I'd boil that. And it wouldn't be a lot. It wouldn't be enough for a soup, but it'd be enough to cook the noodles in. And as the noodles are cooking, I would throw in like the packet, and then I like throw in like soy sauce, some Worcestershire, whatever the fuck. And then like an egg, and then like I'd like stir fry my fucking ramen, and then I throw in like vegetables or like leftover chicken, and then like at the end fry an egg on top of it, and then I'm like, good. That's some sort of Japanese equivalent, but I'm like, this is mine now.
I'm always like curious because I've been on like food TikTok because I like cooking. I don't know if people are interested in knowing that, but I love cooking. And so I always want to try and learn something new. And whenever I see someone like doing anything with ramen, it's always like, and then you take the ramen from the ramen cup noodles and you put it in a frying pan, and then you add some water, and then you do this and you do that, and I'm like, okay, why? Like, if it's cup noodles, surely the whole idea is just that it needs to be as simple as possible and not leave any dishes. If you're going to make like cooking special noodles and shit like that, why not use like normal ass noodles? Why do you have to take the fucking shit from like the cup noodles? I don't get that. Like noodles are not expensive. It's egg and water and flour.
Yeah. Well, like I never got like the cup noodles because for some reason the cup noodles are more expensive than just like the packet of noodles in the seasoning. So that's what I talk about when I use like the saucepan. When it's just a cup noodle, it's literally just as simple as I'm either heating up the kettle or I have a teapot and extra hot water, and that's what I'm using. That's like baseline. I do not want to do anything. The cup is part of the design philosophy. That I can understand with you 100%. And really all you can do at that point is just like put add-ons, like if you have any sesame oil or egg or chives or green onions. And that shit's good. But if you got like just the fucking noodles and seasoning, yeah, sure, fucking do whatever the fuck you want.
When I was younger, we would take, the little plastic bags of noodles, instant noodles, that would have like the little pack of seasoning with it, the powder. And what we would do is that we would open the bag, we would take out the seasoning powder, we would shake the powder into the bag, we would close the bag, and we would crush the noodles. And then we would pour it into a little bowl, and we would eat it like snacks. And it's actually very low on fat. So when I started, what's it called? Like going on a diet, that was my go-to snack because it's like so low in fat, and it's basically just eating spicy chips. Like,
okay, I don't know what's in like because like this is like a real thing because I actually have had like. I'm not really going to call them friends because I don't have friends in college. But I'm like, I knew people in college who did the same fucking thing. I wouldn't even call them that. They're all... Listen, I was there to get my paper and nothing else.
Oh, sorry.
But I knew people who did that, like, just as a normal thing. And, like, that's not weird at all. The way you just, like... Because it's just, really the only difference between, like, the noodles and, like, dry or wet is just how long you're soaking it. Because like I've known a person dead ass just like eat it like a fucking taco. They just like take the parts, like put a little of the seasoning on, and they just fucking bite into it like a savage. But like apparently that's an accepted thing in some circles, and I'm like, okay, you know what? It's weird how versatile this thing is.
Like you mentioning like a taco makes me think of like those really crispy ass tacos, like. That reminds me of a story. So when we were having when we were doing, I think it was my Danish or French written exam when I was in college. The way that it was back then, because I'm of an older generation, hence why I'm bald. I'm an old dude. So back then, what would happen was that the college would like rent out the local gym, and we would go there. You had to bring your own laptop or stationary computer, which I did because I didn't own a laptop, and a printer, and you would like set it up, and you because you would then have to print out your report and hand it in. And so, obviously, like, the entire class is in this gym just typing away. And you are allowed any snacks that you want, but you are asked to please be considerate when it comes to noise. So, like, sometimes you would have a fuckhead who would bring, like, a bag of carrots. And so, like, you can just hear, like, someone fucking chomping away on these carrots, and that's loud as shit. But, I swear this is true. One time during one of these exams, you're sitting there, you're writing. It is quiet. It is so quiet you can hear a pin drop. And all of a sudden you hear chuk chuk, chuk, beep, 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 boom. And like you slowly start turning your head, and there's a motherfucker on the back row who has brought a fucking microwave and is popping popcorn.
I'm like impressed of the fucking audacity they have.
Who the fuck brings him? And like the entire class is just like turning and looking at this person, and the dude is not batting a fucking eye. He started the microwave, and now his nose is to the grindstone. He's working again while the popcorn is popping, and the teachers are like looking at each other, going, are we doing anything about this?
I'm like, that man had a fucking plan. He knew the assignment. He knew what was going on. And then he still said, fuck it.
This man brought the system down with popcorn.
No, he said he can't bring a microwave. You know what? Yeah. They said to be considerate, and he considered. Yeah. He just chose the route of popcorn.
The only thing you were not allowed to bring was anything that would give you access to the internet or your cell phone, which would bring you access to the internet. So
I mean, to be fair, like if you like got a microwave like that was made today, it probably wouldn't be allowed because you'd have like some weird DRM on it.
Oh, you could fucking just like, hey Siri, what is this answer? Like the microwave would answer you.
Yeah. Fucking awful. Sorry, I interrupted when you were talking about it. Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, no, like you're not allowed to bring your phone or a calculator.
Yeah. Which I think I mentioned this in an earlier podcast, but back when I had like the written French exam, I still don't know any fucking French, and I hadn't studied at all because all my time in college was just spent on drawing my comic while having classes because I didn't give a fuck. It shows today, but so I would use like Google Translate for all of my assignments, but then we come to the exam here, and obviously you can't access the internet, and they were like, aha, now they can't use Google Translate. But being the fucking genius I was, knowing that the teachers were fucking old-ass dinosaurs, I downloaded a translation program onto my computer that didn't need internet. And then I just fucking punched that shit in, translated, bada bing, bada boom, got a B or something.
You know? Brilliant.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I'm trying to think of like what cheats I've done because I know like I think like the most I've ever gone for cheating on a test was the old write on the back of a water bottle label and stick it back on with all like the science formulas because I was not gonna I could not be arsed for chemistry and biology. Biology was weird. I passed on this by the skin of my teeth because I never did any of the homework, and a lot of the easy questions on the test I would fail. But the only time I ever tried were all the hard questions because they weighted like 40, like 60, well, not really, like, yeah, 40% of your grade. And I like got all of the hard shit correct and always showed my work. And like my teacher fucking hated me for it. It's like, you fail on the basic fucking level, but due to the law of averages, I have to give you a C. Don't ever come to my class. And I'm like, yeah, I don't intend to.
Fair enough.
I wish it was like I wish I cared more about cheating in school because that would have saved me a whole lot of grief. Here's a cheat that cost me. It's called being Hispanic and going to fucking Spanish classes so you can get the easy A.
Your entry level was much higher.
Oh, way higher. So. I didn't realize this until I watched old baby videos of me before I destroyed them. But, I was really good at Spanish when I was little child Cloudy. Like, I actually think that was my first language growing up. Because I'm watching a video of me on the TV, and it's like my mom would ask me things in English, and I'd always respond back in Spanish. And I'm like, wow, I was really good. Why am I not that good anymore? And I'm looking back. The only reason I took Spanish classes was because my parents wanted me to get straight A's. And that is the only prerequisite they ever want. They didn't care if I learned a goddamn thing. They wanted me, get your fucking A's. So that's what I would do every year. Because I would just go year after year. Language is a requirement. Always take Spanish, and in theory, it's great. It's perfect. This wee baby cloud is defective. Keeps speaking Spanish.
I wanted one with English settings.
So, being in the American school system, nothing's ever fucking consistent or works well. But that's just America in general. But Spanish in general has like a very core idea, and it's like it's very basic. It's very like ¿Cómo estás? ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? That kind of bullshit. And it's the same like that all the way from kindergarten to like the last grade of high school. And
you really cannot find that fucking library. Goddamn.
I know. It's one day I'll find it.
The elusive library.
But the thing with that is just in the core, all the core concepts are like super reinforced to the point where like anyone can speak at a basic level. But that's well and fine if you don't know shit or if it's an introductory. But the problem with doing that over and over is like you're never learning or advancing. For example, when you have a Spanish teacher, you have to. Every Spanish person knows this. Every dialect is fucking different, and even though they teach you the same curriculum, your teachers are always fucking different. A lot of times, you'll have maybe a Puerto Rican teacher, maybe an Argentinian, maybe a Spain motherfucker, or like El Salvadorian, or fucking like or you have like your basic generic like white person. I did my test, so I'm certified. Here, look at my paper. Kind of Spanish teacher. And the problem with going through those year after year after year, the basics of what they expect you to stick, but I lost all the nuance I had speaking as a kid. So, I don't have like a proper term, but I guess I fucking got bimbofied by the goddamn school district.
You get bimbofied by the school.
You know, that's a fucking title for the podcast.
I'm writing it down.
What about Senor Cheng El Tigre? Like, it's weird, because, like, I think just going through all these changes and, like, only trying the bare minimum with my Spanish actually degraded me to the point where, I can't speak it as fluently as much as I really want to, and I hate to admit it. Like, I can understand it. You can, like, talk to me in a full conversation in Spanish, and I'll, like, understand everything. And I try to reply, nothing fucking comes out, because then I have dyslexia in my fucking brain.
¿Cómo estás?
I'm good. You like that? Fuck! Why do you think we are still stuck in the third world? It's because to this day we can't find the fucking biblioteca. I don't even know what a biblioteca is. Like, I understand that shit in high school, and now I don't. Claudia makes it sound like it was the fucking fetish, and now I can't unsee it. Oh. I mean, there's probably a fetish for everything.
There fucking is.
Like, you can... Okay, so... I can't really, like, make a proper segue, but, like, I was thinking about that topic specifically, how... If you really try, you can make a fetish out of everything. And it shows in, like, the worst places, like, not only anime, but in, like, Western cartoons. And, okay. So, the thought came about, because, like, I was thinking, I guess this counts as my shower thought, because I was thinking about this in the shower, how it kind of fucking sucks that, like, you know, the big part about anime is, like, everything's over-sexualized, everyone's got the big titties, and everyone's young, for the sole reason, it's like, hey... we're gonna sell this to like the young, horny teenage demographic. They'll spend our money on this, and that has like the poor consequence of like you have adults watching the shows too, and it's like, that makes a whole bit area bad, and I don't like it, and that's true. And I'm like, man, Japan fucking sucks. Like, why are they all like fetishistic freaks? And while that is still true, I'm gonna fucking say that it is, but like the rest of the world is not too much better, because like when you really think about it, there's a lot of fetishes present in, like, a lot of early TV's cartoons growing up. Why were you thinking about anime titties in the shower, Cloudy?
You don't want to know. But yeah, like like the chat brings up, fucking Totally Spies. It's like it's just one fetish after the other in that show.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like, I've seen people try to throw out the like, oh, it's because they're trying to like pretend to be anime. That's why. And I'm like, I mean, probably, but it doesn't stop it. That shit was made in France. Well, technically French Canada, but still. Like, we're gonna go back to like early comic book era or like 80s, 90s cartoons. Like, I'm just gonna say it flat out. Bondage was a huge fucking thing because every other week there was a damsel in distress. The other day, the mid 2000s was all about like feet and fart fetishes. If you actually look on Nickelodeon, because they thought it was funny, and then you have like the whole Dan Schneider thing.
Hey, like, I want to cover these teenage girls in slime. Like,
oh yeah, that's totally innocent and wholesome and not not like awful at all if you think about it for a moment.
Dude, could you imagine? Like, so Nickelodeon, like their logo is like splat of slime for a reason, because literally every fucking like live action show they showed back in the day had slime in some fucking form. Can you imagine if that slime was white?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, it's awful. Like, here's another thing. For a long time, Nickelodeon logo was a fucking foot!
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So, like, it's weird. And like, you cannot tell me, because like, this was a really big thing in the mid 2000s where it probably like went into like the mid 2000s to mid 2010s where fucking fart fetishing, like fart jokes were fucking everywhere is what I'm trying to say. They were all over the place, and they thought, and the excuse you always used was funny. But then like you go on you're like an unholy sin of an abomination. You go on DeviantArt and just like have a quick cursory glance, and that shit's a whole fucking like genre of like fetish porn. Oh, and yeah. I'm like, I guess like it starts like questioning, you know, if it goes on for long enough, it's going to become sexualized eventually. And I think that's like, that kind of makes me think of like in a deeper level. It's like, I'm having trouble like putting the words in it because it wasn't a completely put out thought. But how long do you have to show something before it becomes fetishized? Before it becomes sexual in nature? Because like, how long did it take for the fart to become somebody's spank material? When did that awaken? Is it awakening something in somebody, or is it like programmed in? Is what I'm trying to say.
I don't necessarily think that exposure equals like it being a fetish, but I definitely agree that like there are fetishes that exist for goddamn near everything, and like the video we always bring up, the craving control video, like I had no fucking idea because it's the furthest thing away from my head. But then there's some people who are just like, you know what, I can do that.
Like, I guess I wanted to hear your take on this because I'm having this thought, and like, there has to be some kind of like psychology to this, and like I think we all know the whole feet fetish thing is just because like there's like brain wires getting crossed, like, you know how the foot is next to the genitals part of the brain, but the fact that it is so goddamn wide, and there's also like I don't know if there's any like I haven't read any papers, but I've heard the notion that like some fetishes are like genetic, that's passed down through the family. And I'm like,
I haven't heard that, but
I've heard that before, and I'm like, and I'm trying to think like, what part of fucking evolution came up where you wanted to have giant inflated knees?
Oh god, fucking. I don't know why, but the whole thing of like fat knees always just fucking freaks me out. There's no like, fat deposits in the knees.
It's like oh god, like my knee is fucked up, and I'm like afraid to go to the doctor because it's gonna cost me a fortune. Like, I hate it. Like when if I walk too much and like I feel it crack or something pop, it's probably just air or something, and it's painful as all goddamn hell. And I can't imagine trying to fetishize that because I'm like, God, imagine how painful that's gotta be. What if you tried to walk and it snaps? It's like a broken balloon or like ragdolling. I hate it. Ugh.
What would you even? So that's the thing that I never actually understood. Okay, let's say that you have a fetish for knees, and you are a guy. Let's put those rules down. What do you do with it? Like, you can't fuck it. like what?
Like,
it's like the people who have like a fetish for armpits. It's like, what's the plan here?
At least armpits I can understand, because like some people have that, like it's like one of those sensory trigger things where like I know I've actually known like girls in like certain friend circles who have like a thing for auditory responses where you like the rolling of an R or like the growling at the base of your throat, like that like sends some sort of like brain signal in your head. I knew somebody way back when who got like crazy about like certain smells and scents, and I kind of put like armpits in the scent category because I'm like, I actually put like feet people who do that too, who have like a weird thing about like specifically smelly feet, which is fucking weird. But I'm like, like I always have to imagine when it's like a fetish, it's like some weird garnish where it's not the end goal, but it's like the enhancer that makes you want to do the thing.
I mean, like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that like a girl's legs with some nice stockings or something, like yes, prima, but I like for me all sex has to be without taste or smell. Like I basically, can I get an auto blow or some shit? Like I want it to be as far detached from smell and taste.
And you know what? That is fair and legit. But I get, but it also doesn't stop that like there are people who want the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I just think that like I find it fascinating. Like, why? Where does it come from? Why are we not all hardwired to just want, you know, standard Christian missionary? Why are we all fucking animals?
I mean, I can actually answer that to an extent. And so the endorphin part of the brain actually builds up immunity to stimuli as it keeps happening. So like if you, for example, as a kid and you swing on a swing set and then you keep doing that, at some point it stops giving you that rush because you have just become accustomed to that. So then you might wanna like go on a ledge that is high up, and that makes your heart beat faster, or and then that starts becoming normal, so you go skydiving and stuff like that. And it's the same thing with sex, and that's why you typically see like, oh, I like missionary sex, but then it's like it doesn't really do it for me anymore. Like, can you try and punch me in the throat while we do this? Like you like it. At some point, you need to you feel a need to escalate because you get used to certain things, and the thing that like always tickles someone's fancy is typically that it gives me that rush, and you typically get that when you try something that you haven't tried before. So if you are one of the people who are very sheltered and you don't get out a lot, and you just like start fucking going to town while watching weird porn online and stuff like that, at one point it's like, oh, girl meets guy, bang, wham, thank you, ma'am. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, okay, that doesn't really do it for me. Let me try fucking MILFs. And then you like do that, and like, okay, but what if it was the stepmom though? Like you keep escalating slowly and surely, and before you know it, suddenly you want your stepmom to piss on you or some shit like that. Obviously, like there is a thing for many people where it's like, I don't want to escalate further from here, because now we're getting into the point where I'm starting to wonder if I'm a normal person. But the monkey brain wants it. But then it's a matter of whether or not your monkey brain is in charge or whether your cognitive brain is in charge.
That's actually really interesting, because like it starts going through this whole question or like moral debate of like I'm trying to like find a way to phrase it without seeming like a horrible like awful person, but it's like, my brain fucking died on me. What the hell? Okay, so who like, where's the responsibility here? Like, when does it start become like a disorder, or when does it become like just you feeding into your fucking id or whatever?
Well, I think that is one of the things that young psychology actually covers, which is the whole thing of when you're oh fuck! I have to fucking when your shadow starts taking over your superego, like when that becomes prevalent, and you are unable to stop the shadow, then it's a disorder. But if you're able to keep your shadow in check and keep yourself, your persona, if you're able to manage those two things, then it's just simply a shadow and it's not a disorder anymore. So it's when you like, obviously I'm oversimplifying it, because this is something that that psychologists and law keeps battling with all the fucking time. That is why it is like, you can have the same crime happen where some kind of psychopath kills someone, and then you can present it for two different judges with two different lawyers and yada yada yada, and you won't get the same result, because some people claim that, oh, this is a disorder, and other people claim, oh no, this is just a person being a fucking weirdo. It's not like you can have a fucking like one-to-one, like, this means that, like, oh, you want, like, for example, if you want to kill someone, that is fucked up. You shouldn't want to kill someone. And then if you're walking around with like the thoughts that, oh, I want to kill someone, if you say that to a psychologist, they might go, that is a disorder because you're fucked in the head because you want to kill someone. Now, let's mix it up. You want to kill someone because this motherfucker raped your sister. The thought is still there. Yeah. You want to kill the person. You're thinking about killing the person. But then, is it now a disorder, or is it just you who are really fucking agitated? And so that's why it's so interesting with psychology and all this stuff, is that there's not one true answer. A lot of it is dependent on a lot of different factors. It's why you can't go up to a doctor and go, oh, I'm depressed, and then depressed equals depression. There's a lot of more like stuff to it.
You know, it's good to like have that, like, I guess it's like something I understood, but it's good to like have it in words the way you put it, because it just, that is what it all boils down to. There's a bunch of different like factors and shit in there. It's not just one simple fluid thing. Some people have triggers, some people build it up over a lifetime.
Yeah. In Denmark, we actually had an event that has like just fucking taken all of the city I live in by the balls. Like, all of February has been about this. In early February, a young girl, I think she was 18 or something, disappeared from, like, we have a very active like nightlife in the city, and so she had been out partying. And then she didn't come home that night. And so, like, people were starting to wonder, like, what was going on? And the police got put in to look at this whole thing. And it was so fucked up because a boy also disappeared, but they found out that he had, in his drunken stupor, fallen into the harbor and drowned. And again, like, he was probably 21 or something, like, young boy, horrible age to die. But this young girl, like, no one could fucking find out where the fuck she was, and people were like looking into like CCTV and all this stuff, and they found out. They found some people who might be involved in this because, like, they found the car that she had gotten into, and none of her friends recognized the car. So they were like, okay, who did she drive with? And then they found the people, and they led them to a forest, and there, unfortunately, they found the young girl cut up in several different pieces.
Oh God.
Yeah. So so the police obviously interrogated these men. Thus far, there's been 3 people who are apparently involved in this, and one of them has been like, the police has like a rap sheet that's the size of my arm. Like, it just keeps going. Like, ever since, like, he was a child, he has had like a bunch of different things, stuff such as he had had sex with girls and recorded it without their consent and then like published it. He had spied on. He had followed a girl home and spied on her, and she caught him masturbating out in the bush. There was a lawsuit between him and an ex-girlfriend because he had just filmed her taking a shit. Like, a bunch of this of these things, and like, here you can start to see that here is a pattern. This is not just a fucking, like, a dude who had a lapse in judgment and started acting out on something. This is a person who has, for the longest time, like, done wrong and not, like, how do I put it? Like, conform to the social norms. This is a person where you can, like, look at all these different things and go, this is clearly a person who has some kind of cognitive disorder in which he is not understanding the value of the different sex. It is a person who believes that the world revolves around them. Otherwise, they would not do all the once you have a lot of these different dots, then you can start attaching the string to these dots, and those strings will, in the end, paint a picture. But when you just have dude stab the person, you have one dot. Where do you go from there?
That's a. Yeah, no.
Yeah, the lawsuit about that whole girl is going on right now. It's fucking fucked up.
Still right now? Damn.
Yeah, well, it's because the police are trying to put a case together to really, again, like I said, there were 3 people involved in this. One of them they let go and brought a different dude in because apparently this dude, the dude that they let go, had been in the car when they picked her up and just assumed it was one of the other people's friend, and then they had dropped off him, and then the 2 others had gone and picked up a different dude, and then we don't know what those 3 did, but we can unfortunately assume a lot of different stuff that happened before she eventually passed away. So they're like building up a case now to like really make sure like who was involved with this, to what degree, and how much do we need to fuck them in the court of law.
Oh, that's intense.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's I guess like that's a perfect illustration, because there's just a lot, and you can't really. You also got to be careful, I suppose, because like again, if they would have just charged that one guy when he had presumably nothing to do with it, that would have been bad. So like they do have to take into account fucking everything, especially if they find it.
Yeah. But all of this is also like a thing. I don't know if I have brought it up in a webcam relief video before. I think I have, but that's why I have such a big disdain for people who has this thing where like they will see something that someone puts up online, like, oh, this person who made this comic they're probably schizophrenic or something like that, and they base that off of a comic or a video or something like that, and it's like, if it's videos like vlogs and something like that, if you like look at EDP, if you know who that is.
I don't. But
okay. EDP was a black YouTuber. He was known for really being like, EDP stands for Eat That Pussy, but he couldn't have that on YouTube. He was known for being very crass and just like slurring N-words and talking about pussies and dicks and all this shit. He came out and he's the cupcake guy because some predator poachers or catchers or whatever you want to call them made a sting operation, and sure enough he came out and he got caught red-handed in trying to meet up with an underage girl, and he wanted,
oh god. And
so like when you have as many videos out there as EDP where he's like not being like, he's being unapologetically like, oh, I want to fuck young kids, or oh, let me get that young pussy, or whatever the fuck he was saying. Like, then you can start going, okay, there's something here. But like when you have a comic, which is like a creative work, and then you can look at that creative work and then go, this person has like split personality disorder, something like where you start attaching like all sorts of psychological prognosis to like to a person that you have never met. It's like a gigantic disservice to how much work actually goes into psychology. When I came in and I had my clinical depression, the two first sessions with my psychologist were spent on a back and forth where I had to like answer a trillion billion questions, and even then we were not like, we couldn't confirm whether or not I had a depression before like those tests were over. So the fact that we have these people who like get a selective fraction of insight into a person, because remember, these people pick and choose what they want to put online. Everyone picks and chooses what they want to put online to some extent. And then you look at this, and then you can think that you can for certain say what this person is like, if whether or not they're suffering from anything, is so fucking mentally stupid and immature. And you typically hear this from people who are like, oh, I'm so good at psychology. You clearly do not like maybe you understand like a bunch of psychology, I'm not saying that, but you are misunderstanding the severity and how hard it is to put these like how to actually I don't know the English word for it, but confirm that whether or not they have something.
Okay, I'm gonna share something a little personal. I know I've told this, like, I don't think I've told it on the podcast, but I know I've told this to like friends and such. But like I've had like a bad like experience with a psychiatrist in the past. And like, first off, to hear you say that you had to go through several trials to even figure out if you were depressed or not is like really reassuring that I had a bad experience before, and like the guy who looked at me was fucking insane. Cause this was like I was like in a really bad rut. This was me just coming out of like this was like on the tail end of me leaving my first into college, where I got screwed over by a lot of people, where like my grades were suffering because I wasn't allowed, they put me in the wrong program. I wasn't allowed to switch like the second trimester, and then even then I couldn't take any of my classes, and then I was told like, oh, you have to take instead of going to any of these classes, you can just take all your career's worth of English at the same time, so you don't have to do it for the rest of the 6 years you're here. So I basically just went around being like listening to people without even questioning it, and then it put me in a really dark path until like I had to see a psychiatrist, and I told them my story, and without missing a beat, they said you don't have ADHD, you have bipolar depression. no argument, no explanation of what factors brought up to it. It's just, you have this, here's the schizophrenia medication. It's going to hurt you, it's going to be bad, but you need to tough it out. And I did for like a month, and I think that was like the first horrible experience where I actually knew what an anxiety attack felt like. Where like I nearly threw myself over like a 2-story mall because like in front of a Sephora because I've had the experience of fucking adrenaline and fear, like everybody in the world was gonna kill me, and I need to get out of my freaking flesh. It is terrible, and like I think it's just really scary to know that there's people out there who I think you shouldn't have like a fucking ego about yourself when you're dealing with psychology, when you're dealing with other people's. Because whenever I brought up a question, he always pointed to his PhDs and said, "You can trust me. I've done this before. Don't question me." And I'm like, not very good.
Well, like what you say there, it hits true extremely well, because the whole thing about like you shouldn't have an ego about this. The whole idea of going to a psychologist is to break down the ego. You want to get into the core of a person. The way that because when I went to my psychologist, we would spend a lot of time at first where I was, I was on my defensive, whether I wanted to or not, with me using I again, every time we come up with this, I need to stress, I don't know that much about psychology. People think that. I don't. I really don't. I am just as ignorant about this as I am with everything else. I'm a fucking idiot. But when I went to my psychologist, I would start analyzing him, because I knew he was starting to analyze me. So we were kind of like going back and forth, analyzing each other's body language. It's like, oh, I see that you are you're well off because you don't. I can see that the bottom of your shoes are scuffed, which is something you can tell. I see that you have this nervous gesture where you're like tugging at your fingers and whatever the fuck. So we were like going back and forth about that, and that is a thing that and so because he could tell that I had at least a little more of an understanding of psychology than like the average Joe, he would, as we would like having these sessions, he would tell me exactly like a little bit of the ins and outs about like how these things work. And so the way that he would phrase it to me is that, did you purposely blink right now? I'm asking you, Claudia. Did you purposely just blink right now?
I mean, no.
No. How about now? Did you just swallow your spit on purpose?
Well, I had water in my mouth, so yeah, but yeah.
Okay. The human body actually does like 90% of what it does, it actually does without you like putting any thought to it. And that's the 90% that that you need to like go into. All these things that you can control, all these things that you know, all these things that you are making an active effort to do. Fuck that. Who gives a fuck about that? We wanna know about the shit that you don't know that you're doing. And so I've seen that there's a bunch of these fucking like psychologists who are like I think his name is Dr. K or something on Twitch or something. It's apparently a guy who has a psychology degree or something. I don't know. I'm not gonna like, if he has, I'm not gonna pretend that he doesn't. But I'm very against his way of doing it, because he invites all these different e-celebs on his live Twitch stream with a camera and a chat, and then like starts giving them a fucking like session. And it's like, there's like, these people know there's an audience. Whether you want to or not, they're gonna know that there's an audience, and they're gonna put the performer persona out. Sure, they might cry, they might, feel like act genuine. And I'm not saying that some of the emotions aren't genuine, but like, what you're dissecting here is the persona of a streamer, and I always thought like that was fucking weird.
Because that's kind of the thing. You can't really have a. So I had to Google Dr. K, and I think I know who you're talking about now. My little sister, who's studying to be a pharmacist, actually watches him on the regular. Actually saw because I saw one of his like shows on her tablet the other day, and like I always thought that was fucking weird, that it was some weird performance art, but like I didn't know it was this. He's like touting himself as like doing this as a real goddamn thing, because you think it'd be common sense that like you can't have a genuine moment in front of a crowd, like you're like if you have somebody who's a performer and they know there's an audience, they know they're gonna perform, because like. It's already hard not to perform in front of just one person in front of you, because no one wants to feel vulnerable at all. Like you can't just like open yourself up on like to one person you've probably known for years, let alone a goddamn audience.
Yeah, like I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying, like I have like. If I was asked by Dr. K, hey, do you want to like come on my stream and I'll give you like a free psych evaluation or something, I'd be like, how can we do it in private? Like, like even now, as we're talking as candid and as nonchalant and everything, I know for a fact I'm putting my like rise of persona out a little bit, because I'm very like. How to not sheltered, but like I keep to myself. I'm a very private person when I'm not having a camera put in my face. I like at work I will be sat there, I'll do my thing, and every now and again where I know that I can like throw a little humor in, I'll do that. I'm not the person who will like fucking talk your ear off about like what I did like this weekend or something. I will do that here on this podcast because right now it is expected of me to keep talking, to perform, to do all these kinds of things. And I don't think that's much different from all these other streamers or YouTubers or anything. So yeah, I like, again, I'm not saying it can't work. I know super little about this. I'm just saying, if to me it seems a little weird.
No, I can agree. Yeah, because again, this is like my first time actually hearing about these things happening, so we'd have to like deep dive and look exactly what's going on. But I'm like, on the outset, it sounds a bit far fetched, and I think that's a fair reaction to have, especially to hearing about it for the first time. Wow, this was an interesting start to the podcast. Holy shit.
Yeah, well, you wanted to start. You wanted to talk about the sex, and so I wanted to talk about psychology.
Well, I guess in a way we were related, because like my shower thought specifically was, why do things we watch on TV turn into fetishes? Well, and then we just went down this whole lane of like psychology and how there's if you boil it down, there's a fuckload of factors to goddamn everything.
Oh yeah,
and that's like a lot.
But I can kind of put a little comedic spin on this whole thing. So my old neighbor was a really nice, cute girl. She had to move out because she was actually studying in America. She was like was studying on a project in cooperation with an American pharmaceutical company on a new way to do spine adjustment or some shit like that. But every now and again, she would work in the where you walk in case like, oh, I have a fucking nail through my hand or something like that. Like where you go. Yeah, like where you go into when you are like having an issue that you didn't exactly book a time for, so to speak. And she said like, it's fucked up, but sometimes the clinic, thank you. Sometimes you need to just like have fun with what you're doing, and so she told me about two things. One is the one time where she had a person come into the clinic, and they were very, like, okay, there's nothing wrong with me, but I've been sent here by my friend. Him and his girlfriend were having sex in the shower, and them grinding up and down each other with water has created a vacuum. She's attached to the wall, and he is attached to her. That is apparently a thing that can happen. The other thing that she told me about was that one of the funniest things, and you would not believe how often this occurs, is that when you're in the clinic and you can see people waiting for maybe like half an hour or something, and they're not sitting down, for certain this person has something stuck up their ass. And again, it happens all the fucking time. It is like she said, it's more common that people come in with something stuck up their ass than it is for people coming in with the sniffles. It is fucking insane. And yeah, as Alice in the chat says, I fell on it. They would never admit to like, oh, I figured I wanted to try like what it felt like up in my ass. No, it's always like, oh, I fell on it, or my daughter like put it in my like all these weird fucking explanations about how it got in there. And the weirdest thing she's had is someone had actually managed to put a full ass light bulb up their ass.
Oh, that's precarious.
It's precarious because while it was up there, it was still in one piece.
Oh.
So now the problem becomes, how do you take this fucking bitch out? Because you can't, if you've seen Goatsy, if that shit breaks, it becomes one guy, one jaw.
Oh.
So they had to fucking like operate and like remove it surgically.
Props to the surgeons who pulled it off. Oh my god. So the problem, I'm watching Totally Spies. The girl has cute knees, so I grabbed a bowling pin and jammed it up my ass. What's up?
It reminds me of that episode of Dr. House where like a dude has put an MP3 player up his ass, and the House is like, call whoever like the name of whoever like operates on asses or something, and then call the like whoever takes care of music copyright laws because we might need them to check on this dude.
Oh god. Oh my god.
First rule of losing something up your ass, just admit it. Second rule of losing something up your ass, never put anything in there that you won't admit putting up there.
You know, those are rules to live by.
Yeah.
Like, although, like, I thought that I have like the very stupid thought, like, God, what if someone managed to put a watermelon up there and their like excuse for coming in is like, oh, I ate some watermelon seeds a couple months ago and now this happens.
I should have listened to my mom.
I should have listened to my mom. Oh God. We're just letting this sink in.
Yeah. I like, so the whole ass thing, that's funny, but the sex in the shower vacuum thing, that is fucking. Like, how did you reach a phone?
I have to imagine they like, if we're gonna imagine a scenario, they were just within arm's reach of a towel, and what they ended up doing was they lassoed it like fucking Indiana Jones. But that's also just, I didn't even know that was a thing that could happen. Like,
no, right?
Like You know, I've had the thing where it's I'm having a shower and like my back's to the wall because I'm just trying to think about what the fuck I'm going to say in the podcast, and then it's like I'll get stuck. I guess that makes sense. But how do you stick to another person?
I don't know.
Where's the physics of that?
And like, what fucking deity did you piss off to be cursed with such bad luck that not only is this freak accident where someone gets stuck vacuumed to a wall happen, but you also get stuck to this person?
It's the wall to the shower, the body to the shower to flat plane. I can understand that perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
It's just people to people. Were you in a fucking 1x1 cubicle shower with this person? You thought it'd be kinky? Like, I mean, that's the part I have trouble understanding.
I mean, seeing as we're already being explicit, have you ever had sex in the shower? Because I have. That shit sucks.
It's not as comfortable as you'd think.
No, it's fucking cold. You get water in your face or none at all, and then you start freezing. And it's like, I can't
worry
really...
about, like...
Go on.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, like, yeah, you always have to worry about, like, bumping into, like, the fucking metal shower head, because then, like, that could cause issues.
Yeah, and it's like, what? Like, which wall do you pick? Do you pick the one with when the faucet is on, or because like that has all like the freaking instruments, and that can be good for the back, so you do it on the side. But then like you get like fucking water splashes on the side of your face, and like, oh no, the fuck, and as you're like going in, your fucking feet are slippering on the fucking wet tiles, and it's like, how about you just get dried, you go to bed, and then you do your business there.
I think like the years of having to jump between jobs and having to see OSHA so much have drilled it into my mind that like, don't do it in the shower. It's dangerous. Even if it's not for you, you might like accidentally impale your partner and then shove the spout up their ass, which I would not want to do because that's just not cool, dude. Imagine having to go to the ER for that. Explain like you were just fooling around in the shower, then suddenly this ended up inside their ass, and it's like, and you had to break it out of the fucking wall.
Imagine having to explain that to your doctor. Like, how did this happen? Shut the fuck up. Just remove it. Don't even fucking go there.
Don't just like. There was this show in America. I don't remember what it was called, but like, it was just like it was a whole show about what we're talking about right now. Weird shit that would happen during ER. And I think like one of the cases was, they wanted to do the fucking like, I'm gonna pour some hot chocolate and lick it off their body because that's like erotic as shit. But, like, they didn't have any chocolate. So what they thought about doing was, like, melting down gummy bears in the microwave. So what ended up happening is that the partner had to go to the ER for, like, third-degree burns.
Well, no fucking shit.
Just...
Why?
Some people are just kind of really dumb. And like there was like another one where like they were I think like somebody's head went through like a bed frame and into the wall, so like they had to like they couldn't get the bed frame off, but their body was also messed up in another way, so they had to be like carted into the hospital like that.
Oh mate, like I if I had been a doctor there, I would just like fist bump the dude, or we were like, yeah, you fucking work that shit.
Exactly.
You fucking gave it to him, goddamn.
I actually think it was the guy who was in the bed frame. Now that I think about it,
how in the fuck?
Maybe. I actually don't remember.
You know,
but I'm like, I was gonna say like, you know what? Maybe they were doing this weird reverse cowgirl motion. Only instead of them doing the work, you're doing the work as the cow. I don't fucking know.
Jesus fucking Christ. Was he having reverse cowgirl with Cena, the warrior princess? Well, how the fuck did she fuck that hard?
Although I would still fist bump the dude in that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
like, fucking death by snoo.
God. Dear God. I don't have a segue. Like, this
no,
is
me
really
neither.
good.
Me neither. Cloudy, what have you been up to this week?
Okay. I've been procrastinating as all bloody hell. I have a game on. This weekend's gonna be great. I have a game on Saturday, which we normally do for D&D, and then I have my monthly one shot. And I am going through the stages of ADHD where, like, oh, I had all month to do this. I have everything else done on the checklist. All I have to do is the one thing that's most time-consuming and hard. And I could do it super fast if I try hard enough. I just have the adrenaline. And I'll start any minute now. And the last part is any minute. That adrenaline's gonna make me work. And I have, what is the date today? I have, it's 23rd. I have 4 days to finish, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oh Christ me. I have 7 maps to make by Sunday at 1 p.m. Oh, I should have done more, holy crap. I've had everything else done.
Did I not link you a thing that makes it easy to make these maps?
It is. You did make it. It's just I haven't started it because I'm fucking idiot. It's like I said, it won't take time. But like my issue has been like I have procrastinated so long that I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna be a panicky ass motherfucker while I'm in the midst of doing it. Because I wanna have a good time, and I am gonna have a good time because I've got a full party of 6 people wanting to play this game. I like from the ground up made a goddamn like an adventure where do you remember when I DM'd for you and I put you in like the tax office from hell?
Oh yeah.
I kind of did something like that again. In Maple Story, there's this thing called the Ludibrium Party Quest, and it's basically like you're going up a tower in Legoland, and I found a way to like make all of that in D&D. So I have all the logistics, all the math, all the puzzles, all the answers. I have the character sheet set up in Roll20. I have their sprites put in. The only thing I need is the map for them to play on. And those were the thing that gave me the biggest issue last month when I did my last one shot. And I'm just like, I'm going to start any minute now. Right? I still haven't. Even right now, as we're talking, I should probably be working on it, but I'm not. Because I knew I have the podcast, and I'm like, I can't even use that as an excuse or work because I knew this was a thing. I just didn't put in the effort, and I'm like, why does this keep happening? Is it like a mode? Is it like because like I looked into this and looked at it, like did like some cursory research. Like a lot of people with ADHD run into this issue where motivation is like a weird problem with them, where you know what it is, you know what you have to do, you can see the goal in the distance, and you can write step by step by step how you're gonna do, and you do a lot of steps even out of order, and that's fine, and you get shit done. But there's always gonna be like this one roadblock that you're gonna have trouble just fucking doing. And like it's just hard to explain because when I think about it, it just makes me feel like no, I'm just lazy. But then that's not helpful because you can admit to be lazy, but get doing it, and then you're still like no. It's weird. ADHD is weird.
I remember reading there was someone some kind of like New York bestseller dude who was like making this like book about like how to not procrastinate and how to do your work and shit. And the way he did it was that he wrote something to the tune of work or do nothing. So like when there's something that you have to do, either you do that or you do nothing. You don't touch, like you don't go on Twitter, you don't chat with anyone, you do nothing. And then like if it's just like looking out the window, at some point, you're going to be bored with that. And so the only other thing you can do is work. and apparently like that helped, but I don't fucking know.
Mm. Like, I thought about this when you were talking about like the shadow taking over the persona, or like how fetishes were oh no, not fetishes, but like the whole constant escalation. I'm like wondering, like, where have I gotten to this point where I feel this need to procrastinate, or like I don't feel this need to start, or like what things have escalated to the point where I don't have that like rush or adrenaline or like reason to work. Because like I know you said that's a big part of the head with endorphins, but it probably has to do something with just my mind just went blank. Like whatever it is that sparks the motivation or your drive to do things in your brain. Yeah.
I don't know. I all I've ever read is that the whole thing of endorphins and serotonin. I think it also is. Serotonin. Whatever makes you feel good, you will grow immune to that at some point. And it's the same thing with the thing that makes you scared, because those things, I think those kind of share the same nerve cluster, but I have never heard about like that with motivation and stuff like that. But maybe like why shouldn't it be different for like a different part of your brain?
You know, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Like you know, there was just like this really nice metaphor for how it works. It's like you have like somebody who like doesn't have ADHD and someone who does, and like it's like you're trying to cross a bridge where like your goal at the end is like you finishing the work, and like and your planks of motivation to do it are like these planks of woods of a bridge, whereas a lot of people have some gaps but they still can jump over them, where like you both have the same amount of like planks. It's just that some people are more evenly spread out, so the holes aren't that big, whereas like you'll have like some clusters with a lot of planks, but then you'd also have really wide gaps out of nowhere, and then you'd have like little smaller clusters towards the end. It's just like the way to describe it like clicked in my brain, where it's like maybe it's not that I have no motivation, it's just it's not evenly as weighted as for someone else.
I can see that being a thing.
Yeah. This is an ongoing problem that I just need to do, because like probably after this I'm still probably gonna go default to like my work and my job first before doing my one shot prep. But even then, I'll let you know what it happens on the next podcast, because I'm excited for it regardless. Well, I'll let you know if how my procrastination has helped or hurt me. So that's going to be interesting.
How has Cloudy's procrastination baned his existence today?
Oh, well, you see, I was screaming at 4 a.m. in the morning as my brain was in complete panic, but I got it done! And then I was comatose for 2 days afterward. Oh, God. Actually, before I ask you what you were doing, I just have to like mention an anecdote, because I was so excited for working on Monday to start it, because I had a plan set up. I for some reason decided, okay, I'm just gonna take an hour nap at 4 p.m. at night, just because I have all this set up, and I'll just spend the night and then go to bed. I'll get a lot of this done in like 6 hours. I take the nap. I'm looking outside. It's like, oh, cool. It's nighttime. It's probably night. And I look at my phone. It's fucking 2 a.m. in the morning. I literally slept through the rest of the day.
Yep.
I spent my whole day preparing, and then lights out.
I remember, because I was like writing you at like 9 a.m. or something for me.
Yeah.
And I was like... I was writing you about potential guests in the future for the podcast. And you answered instantly. And normally I will write you things and be like, Cloudy is going to reply to this once he wakes up and he's not busy. And then I get a response immediately. And I'm like, isn't this like fuck o'clock for you right now? And you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a day. Although I do want to tell you, my day was successful. I drove to my mom's house. My car did not break down like fucking New Year's, so I did all my things over there, and I successfully stayed up till 10 p.m. And then I went onto the couch. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a shower, go to bed, and then I woke up the next morning at 7 a.m. So I was able to stay up and reset my clock because I got up at a reasonable hour. But dear God, was I sleepy. Oh.
I mentioned it when we were talking about this initially, where you and Alice are able to do this, and I don't know, like maybe it's just me who's being an old fart. I cannot do this whole like stay up all night shit. She did that to watch like the announcement for Street Fighter 6, and it's like how much sleep did you get? I got probably 2 hours. I'm like, how the fuck? Like if I don't get like 8 or 7 hours, I'm done. I do not function at all.
Like I'm in this weird thing where like I can't take short naps. I can't rest very very quickly. So I have to just use everything, spend everything to stay up and do everything, or else like my body's just gonna flatline. I need my 8 hours, and I'm going to get it one way or fucking another. So if I rest for a little bit, my entire body just shuts down.
Yeah,
and I think that I don't know if that was because I overworked myself, but like but like it's just this weird habit my body's been doing. I think because I did used to only run on 4 hours of sleep, especially when I was working at like the mail house. At my old job at my mom's old place, where like I was expected to work day in and day out on my feet, working with machines, constantly like moving my hands and moving my mind, like trying to make sure I push out product like crazy. And as I'm doing that, I think my body's reached a point where I'm becoming an old fuck, where it's just no, motherfucker. You are getting your sleep, and you are gonna like it. Like, if you go to bed, you ain't getting back up. And I'm like, damn, brain got hands. Brain got fucking hands. Stayed up all night till 7 a.m. playing RE2 2 weeks back. Went AES sometimes, and I dropped a dead sleep on some nights. If you guys are bringing out guests, please bring the shower people from that story from earlier.
I don't know them. Again, I heard this from my old neighbor. I can ask my current neighbor whether or not she has any experience with these things.
Yeah. But my week has been grappling with ADHD. What about you, Lasse?
Yeah, the losing battle. We didn't have podcast last week, and that's because like I've started my new job. Big excited to be back. But as I'm sure that everyone who has started a new job or school or something can attest to, once you start something new like that, you are just fucking fatigued and spent. So like I think I texted you Tuesday going, we're not having a podcast this week because I'm fucking dying.
Yep. Also, I remember that.
Also because like it's half an hour bike ride from where I live to the office because they moved the office, and so like I didn't really ride my bike that much before, so doing that on top of a new work, plus we've had shitty weather all last week and most of this week, so this was all spent like riding my bike in the pouring rain or snow. So yeah, it's basically been wake up, go to work, come home, dead. Like I have barely even been able to have a conversation with like the usual suspects that I usually talk to. So that's been fun. But I was on a date last Saturday. It went well. It was nice. But it was fucking weird because we were at this restaurant and we ordered food and everything's nice, except like it was pissing down there as well. And so we, after we had finished our meal and we were sat talking, the waiter comes over and is like, hey, would you like some desserts? And we're like, nah, thanks, we're good. And then not 2 minutes later, a different waiter comes over and is like, yeah, someone else needs this table, so you gotta go. I'm like, what the fuck? Is there anywhere else we can sit? No. Okay. So they basically kicked us out into the pouring rain. And as my date was asking, like, what if we had said yes to the dessert? Like, would we then have been kicked out with the dessert, or would we have been allowed sitting there like that? Like, I didn't understand that at all. And it was one of my friends who had suggested the place, but I don't think we're coming back.
That's fucked up. Like,
right?
Like, you know, like, even if it wasn't the pouring rain, it's like, you're at a fucking table. Like, they can fucking wait.
Yeah.
It's like, I already paid. Fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, like, I understand at that point we were just sitting there and talking. We had ate our food, we had drank our drinks. So, you know, we're not exactly earning them a profit anymore, but still, it's like, calm the fuck down, bro. Plus, it was like... Go on.
I'm imagining that's a fuck thing to do, where it's like, oh, okay, they get like 5 more minutes if they have their dessert, but if not, they're fucked.
Yeah, I don't know, but the day went well. Other than that, I have been relaxing with a thing that I find extremely relaxing, much to my friend's annoyance. Which is just like trying out combos and stuff in fighting games, because the new King of Fighters just dropped. And so I want to like stress this before I get into it. I'm very new to King of Fighters. It's never really been my cup of tea, because the thing about King of Fighters, and I'm gonna talk about this now because the guest that we've been talking about getting on the show really loves King of Fighters. So I want to get this off my chest now, so they don't kill me. But King of Fighters is weird because it runs the gambit, but like it feels like it has some sort of identity crisis. It runs the gambit between the coolest shit ever and the absolute worst shit ever. So, for example, the combos in this game, like it's structured in the same way as Dragon Ball Fighters, where you can just mash your light punch attack and you will do a combo and finish with a super or special move or what have you. And that is and like they do this really weird thing, because it is a really cool thing actually, because you can do this, and if you keep hitting light punch, you're gonna like finish off with the best move you have at your disposal. So if you have like a lot of bar, you're gonna use whatever costs the most bar, and then you can finish the combo off with using heavy punch, and you're gonna finish it off with a special move. You can finish it off with a light kick, and you finish off with a super, and you can finish off with a heavy kick, and you finish off with your big super. So it has this really interesting system where it allows you to just brain dead mash but still have some control over it, which is really cool, and I think that's a great way for beginners. And then there's nothing in between. And then it has like the most anal inputs in the world. I'm not a fucking fighting game master by any stretch of the imagination, but I have put like a good couple of hours into many different fighting games. I know how to do a quarter circle. I know how to throw a Hadouken. But in fucking KOF, they are so strict with the input that I can fuck up doing a Hadouken. And I don't, and it's like, a normal, like, in Street Fighter, if you want to do a super, it is 2 quarter circles in one direction and a button. In fucking KOF, Iori has a command grab that is a half circle back, quarter circle forward, and kick. And you would expect, like, okay, that's a pretty big input. Surely it must be a very strong move. All it does is that Iori grabs you and moves you to the other side of him. It's not an attack. He just does that. Yes, you can follow up with a combo afterwards, but still, it's like all of this for fucking that. And then you have some supers like fucking like we talked about it before, like K's supers are always super cool. Way throws the sunglasses, scraps them, and then gives you an ass whooping, or everything that Terry Bogard does. All of that is fucking cool. But then you have fucking like dudes like Kukri. His level 3 is he makes us a hill out of sand. He sits on it and looks down at you, and then he slides down and kicks you on the way down. The hill is like 7 feet tall. It's not that big. And meanwhile, you have fucking Terry Bogard uppercutting you so fucking hard that flames shoot out from the crust of the earth. Like, that's fucking cool as shit. And then you have fucking this. It's so weird, because one part is super shitty, the other part actually the dopest thing in the entire world. So I've been spending some time with that. Probably not something that I'm going to go like super hard into, even though from what I like, it's never sounded better in my opinion. It has looked better, but what they managed to do is really, really good in this one, because 14 was kind of, it looked like absolute ass. But this one actually looks perfectly fine. And the music is fucking great, and it's a pretty cool roster, but I don't know. I think it's just gonna be one of those things that I kind of fuck around with. Go on.
No, I was gonna say, like, I really wish I had more input in this, because I've not been much. God, I haven't been into a lot of video games recently. But, like, I haven't played a proper fighting game since like the launch of SF5, and that was like a long ass time ago. But like I think I've even mentioned in the podcast, like, the design of Cloudy aesthetically was like inspired by Rock Howard.
Yeah.
So like I do have a love for KOF, but like my actual physical experience is very shallow. Like I think the only time I've ever played a real KOF game was like it was me playing Capcom vs SNK 2 with a goddamn keyboard on my old ass PC.
Yeah.
So, like, not even, like, trying to play seriously, just, like, button mashing my way to victory with, like, the characters I thought were the coolest, because I loved all these clashing sprite styles together. But, like, it sounds fucking complicated. It's like you have to use the old Monster Hunter claw just to fucking do a basic fireball attack.
Yeah, like, I'm sure that there's going to be, like, some King of Fighter fans out there who listens to this who are gonna go, oh my god, he's such a fucking noob, like, yada yada yada. But I don't understand why it has to be so overly complicated with these inputs. I do know that it actually has a thing that I really appreciate, which is that normally in other fighting games you have to like do the motion and you press the button and you have to time when you press the button. So if you push it too early, it's not going to come out. If you push it too late, you're going to drop the combo. But in KOF, they have this cool thing where you can do the motion and you can hold the button. And as long as it's within reason, if you hold the button, the move is going to come out at the earliest opportunity that it can, which means that you can actually do certain combos really easily. And that I appreciate. But I do not understand why it's like, throw a fireball has to be a half circle. Why not just a quarter circle? Why does this command grab have to be half circle forward, quarter circle back, and then a button? Why not just half a circle? You know what I mean? Like, it's overcomplicated for the sake of being overcomplicated, I feel. And I know there's people who have no issues doing these things, and I love watching KOF matches, but I don't understand why you have to put the bar that high. Like, why make it so difficult to do anything?
I mean, I feel like the reason why you have a high ceiling like that from a game design perspective, it's more you're trying to cater to the people who would appreciate that high of a ceiling. Like, the whole reason people like fighting games in general is because they want to be the fucking best. their rush of dopamine isn't just like performing the combos and being cool and flashy, but it's like to win. And the longer the game goes, you always have to set different bars, different scales, and tweak stats. And sometimes maybe playing the game, not only just like knowing the combos isn't enough, you also have to learn to play the fucking piano while you're executing a combo. And maybe, in a sense, it tickles monkey brain to the point where like the simple act of being able to do this complicated maneuver for something small. So in the grand scheme, you make a concerto of a fucking fight. Maybe that's what they're trying to go for. Maybe that's one logic. I don't fucking know. I haven't played. I don't have first-hand experience, and I certainly am not good. I need to get good to know if I can appreciate it. So I can totally see that a lot of this shit is like obtuse or too complicated, but I don't really feel comfortable in saying like you're right or wrong in one way or the other.
No, I get that, and I respect that.
Yeah, because like I know for a fact, like if you take games like speedrunners, where like they're just objectively when you're playing at such a high level, you find your own way to make it more complicated to achieve a goal. So maybe these complicated strings, they do serve like a functional purpose. And the reason why is because if it's more complicated, but you master it, and all these things put together, it all looks better in the end. But to get to that and to practice and to get good is fucking hard, but some people want it that way.
Yeah, and
yeah.
I definitely feel like I'm not opposed to having like a high ceiling, but I just don't understand why you have to have a high bar. Like I don't think that it what makes a fighting game or makes a fighting game interesting is whether or not you can do an input for a attack. I think what makes what makes the fighting game, what makes it interesting is, can you hit confirm and then from like a hit go into a combo? Can you do reads? Can you do footsies? Like all this kind of stuff. I'm never gonna look at a tournament and go, wow, he did the pretzel with Geese Howard. What a fucking badass. I'm gonna look at the person who plays Geese Howard and lands his air counterattack and be like, that's a fucking dude. Like, this dude countered an air attack. What a fucking pro. But yeah, maybe that's just me. But you did mention the Monster Hunter claw earlier. And I've also been playing a lot of Monster Hunter with Alice. And I fucking love Monster Hunter. I think it's one of my absolute favorite franchises. And we were having a laugh last night because a thing that I love so much about Monster Hunter is that they will give you the ending like 6 times. You fucking defeated this dude. Peace can finally like come to a village now, and then like, oh no, the dude is still it was actually just the youngling of this other bigger dude, and now you have to fight the other bigger dude. And so we were playing Monster Hunter Rise last night, and there's this moment where you fight what you expect to be the big baddie, and you think that, oh, I've killed the big baddie, and then they're having a party at the village, and this ninja pops down, and he's about ready to he's going to tell like the leader of the village that the big baddie is actually not dead. And the fucking moment he appeared, Alice just wrote, I know. We know. Like, this is par for the course. Like, yes, we killed God, and we know. We are now out of the tutorial.
Imagine having to... I love that about Monster Hunter. Just... the concept. Okay, you thought you were fucking done? Rip off his skin and make a bigger fucking axe. You got work to do.
I also like having played more of Rise. Goddamn, Sinogo is just the fucking coolest. He's so fucking cool. But yeah, so that's been my week. Just like I'm not. Hand to God, I've not been working on webcam relief at all. I've just been focusing on work and like recharging batteries and shit. Don't worry, it is coming. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. There's a lot of readjusting to the new work and stuff like that. So yeah, that's maybe not the most exciting thing. But I was thinking, Cloudy, if people wanted to ask us or tell us what they've been doing their weeks, where could they like send an email explaining that?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, because if anyone in the audience, being in the podcast or in the chat right now, if you had a question to send us and that we could probably discuss to squeeze a little bit more time, we can send it at webcastrelief@gmail.com.
Okay, so if we wanted to have like some big juicy topics to dive into and not just questions, they could send those to webcastrelief@gmail.com.
That is very much correct.
Ooh.
Okay, so here's a small question that I wanted to read this one as soon as we got it, because I wanted to just see what we can talk about out of it. It's a Pokemon question. It's pretty simple. And Caesar Zealand asks, Riser, since you've alluded to loving Pokemon as a kid in your reviews, which would be your favorite starter out of all the generations? Mine would be Tepig from Black and White. In parentheses, I don't know if Cloudy plays Pokemon, so please don't take my kneecaps.
You answer your question. I'm gonna go pick something up.
Okay, so the thing I wanted to... the reason I love this question is because I feel like this should have been reversed. Because I know you've only mentioned that you played, I think, like the first generation.
Yeah.
Or not too far. Yeah. I played fucking competitive Pokemon between generations 4 and 6.
Seriously?
Granted, yeah. Like, I never placed anywhere because my parents didn't want to drive me to any of the venues. But, like, I was hardcore into this shit. I was one of those people who was IV breeding, fucking, like, making sure I got perfect natures before it was fucking widespread.
God fucking damn. Okay, but real quick, and then I want to hear your answer then.
Okay.
But so this is purely for the people who watch the video or the stream. So sorry, podcast listeners. But I got a thing made by everyone's favorite Sam, which is an Abra with a sixpence, because Abra is my favorite Pokemon. Because he just chills, and every time there's shit, he just yeets himself away, because who cares? So yeah, that would be my style. He can't attack, but he can teleport, so yeah, that would be mine.
Oh, I love him. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
He asked me
real quick. I got this one from her when we met up in Vegas. I am fucking dumbfounded that it made it home in one piece.
I'm glad he took very good care of it.
Apparently.
He's adorable. God bless.
Yeah, go on.
So, like, the question was specifically your starter. So, you know, your Charmander Bulbasaur Squirtles. Yeah.
Fuck.
But no, Abra being a favorite Pokemon is great. Yeah, Charmander's good. I thought about this for a while, and I'm like, you know, it's Chespin. The guy everyone fucking hated from Generation 6, the fucking wood chipmunk grass motherfucker from the France region of Pokemon. And it just comes down to, I think the fact he turns into a fucking knight is baller as hell. And he could punch things and block things. He is not competitively viable because everyone else was better than him. He's not as popular as Rowlet because everyone loved the fucking Grass Owl. But I'm like, no, I relate to this fucker. I like him. He started off small and cute. They got really dumb and chubby, and then he became a big muscly guy. And I'm like, that guy's cool. He went through a character arc in his fucking evolution.
What? I'm gonna show my age here a little bit. Blaziken. That's the bird fighting fire one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that not an evolution from a starter Pokemon?
It is a favorite starter, yes. So
Okay.
it is viable.
Okay, then I'm gonna pick whatever. Torchic?
Yes.
Oh, holy shit!
Right.
I'm the fucking best. Yeah. Then,
Yeah.
Then I'm probably
No
gonna
one
say
ever
that.
was. Okay, yeah. No, Torchic's really cool. Like, I wanted to have like a whole ass discussion what it's like to be a fucking nerd and talk about Pokemon for an hour, but I also don't want to like drown you in that. But I do like that there was something I wanted to talk about with a game perspective of Pokemon. I want to talk about in more detail in the podcast. That I'm like, the design of Pokemon is insane because these people were definitely way too ambitious for what they wanted, and even though they had to make an entire fucking their own separate Pokemon company just for the games, they still can't keep up with what they promised in the first place. Like, what do I mean by that? Between like between like generations 3 to like I want to say 6, so like the beginning of Ruby and Sapphire to like Sun and Moon, like they promised you that you can like trade your Pokemon and they can follow you on this journey through all the games, and for the most part they kept up with that. But then, like, with the new games, they started, like, cutting the Pokedex, and, like, you can't bring your Pokemon here. And they have all these services that are supposed to hold their Pokemon. And then they end up slowly taking those away. Like, they announced in next year the Pokebank's gonna be taken down. And I find it interesting, because I thought it was, oh, that's a stupid decision. Why the fuck did they do this? This is dumb. Everyone hates, and all these YouTubers were right. And then I like thought about it in the shower for like 5 minutes. I'm like, actually, this should have happened like a decade ago, because this was insane that they held up for it for so long. Because think about it, you're constantly reiterating on game after game for like over a year, and people like to call that as lazy. And you know what? To some extent, especially the newer games, you can probably announce that. You'd say that for all the games, but you can't also deny you have to, like, for everything to like reiterate and redoing, they are bringing in new things all the goddamn time, whether it's like something as small as like a move, or like how a type change is like, or like tweaking stats. Every new game is new and it adds up over a while, especially if you're iterating. And even if you have infinite money, it's not gonna. You're gonna have to fall off eventually.
Yeah. At least it's not like Destiny 2. Did you ever hear about that shit?
I don't know what happened at the end of that, but you can tell me. Bring that up.
Well, I would tell you, but no one will ever know what happened at the end of that, because at this point they have updated the game so much and removed so much of the normal content that you cannot even play like the base Destiny 2 anymore.
Are you serious?
There are people who are like, hey, who's that funny robot? Where's he in the game? But all the content where, I forget what his name is, but he was like the dude who was in Firefly, who, like, was by him. I don't recall what his name was. Like, all the content where he's in, fucking gone. And there was people who showed like the physical disc that they had bought with the DLC, and were like, I can't use this anymore. All the shit that's on this disc is just fucking gone.
That's like a whole Ship of Theseus kind of thing, where like you start off with a boat, then every part ended up being replaced, and then like it's now a whole new boat. Can you really still say it's the same fucking boat?
Yep. Like it, I'm fine with like updating stuff and removing stuff to a degree, but this is just like fucking. Are you fucking kidding? Like, I can't even like play the normal game. I have to jump in mid into a fucking story. It's the same thing with World of Warcraft. You can no longer spawn at like the place where. Like, if you can't come as a new player, if you're a night elf, you cannot start at the normal place, because that place is fucking gone.
Damn. God. Now I'm thinking back to like Maple Story of all goddamn things. It's like I left after the whole Big Bang, and the new game is just unrecognizable pay-to-win bullshit. So the point where people ended up making. They did the WoW thing where it's like we have custom servers of the old game before all this bullshit came out. Hell, if you like the new content, we have it, but we also have all the old shit too. And I'm like, phew. I think what makes Pokemon fascinating to me, it's actually impressive how far they got trying to keep the base thing intact.
Yeah.
Because like if they kept Digimon is another game that comes to mind, where like that game style changes from like generation to generation. It started off as like this weird Tamagotchi sort of thing, and now only like recently with like Cyber Sleuths and shit. It's like a proper turn-based RPG with like Pokemon-esque elements, and I'm like, it's unrecognizable from what it started at the beginning. But like when you look at a Pokemon game, it's still a Pokemon game. Call it laser or not, I'm actually surprised it stayed intact.
Well,
you can't say that about Destiny.
It is just like the Digimons, because they also evolve in a way where you can't see where they originated from. Because, like, in fucking Pokemon, it's like, okay, here's this chicken. It's on fire. Yeah. And now it's a bigger chicken, and it's even more on fire. And now it's a strong, independent waifu chicken who can punch your shit in. And then in fucking Digimon, it's like, here is a cream puff with a funny haircut, and it's and now it digivolves into a fridge on wheels. And the third evolvement is a wolf with a minigun. And now, and the form after that is an angel.
Yeah. How do we get from one place to the other?
By the way, I'm just throwing these out, but I would not be surprised if there was actually like an involvement like that.
Like, I'll be honest, I know Angel, our buddy Angel is really into Digimon, and he understands this shit more than I ever could. Because I've only seen like the first 4 series and the 5th one, where instead of we still have Digimon digivolving, but to get it you have to punch the Digimon in the face first. Like, not the Digimon have to, you as the partner have to go up to fucking Satan and punch him in his bitch face.
Abusive relationship.
Oh, it's cool. No, you gotta punch the shit out of Satan to make Agumon super cool. That is actually, without hyperbole, like the ending to like one of the seasons.
Oh my god.
There's like this giant fused Baphomet, and like the Agumon and his partner guy are so pissed off at this Satan guy, they punch him in the face at the same time. Like he punches Satan, and then he punches the trainer partner to Satan, and then Agumon punches Satan again. It's great.
Man, Satan had a rough day.
Yeah.
Like the time Tide tried to force his Agumon to Digivolve and he ended up going all fucked up and turned into Skull Greymon.
Oh yeah, that was fucked up. Like he did that. He he fucking abused him into evolving, and then he turns the giant skeleton Rocket Man. It's like, oh, talk about unrecognizable, but oh, I don't like that shit.
Our hero.
Our hero. Did you know that is a cat that becomes a sexy angel girl and becomes a pink dragon one?
Gatomon.
Yeah, we love all of them. Fucking Patamon is like, at least he turns from one thing to angel, but at least he's fucking consistent. Because after he becomes angel, he stays angel.
Okay.
He was like the one with the wing, the weird wing guy on his head.
I got nothing.
Okay, I just wanted to talk about Pokemon and Digimon and like game design. We have another question from Caesar. We're gonna do another fuck, marry, kill. So fuck, marry, kill. Archurius and Hunter from, I forget what SFH is. but they're like the furry ones who are really preachy and edgy. It's not Fur High. It's
Suicide for Hire.
Suicide for Hire. Yeah, thank you. Okay, there was Arcturus and Arcturus and Hunter from Suicide for Hire, Trace from Two Kinds, or Edgewolf from Concession.
I would say fuck Edgewolf, marry Trace, kill Hunter, the Suicide for Hire people. Because Suicide for Hire people do kill people. Yeah.
We'd be doing a favor.
Yeah.
And Trace seems like a nice person.
Yeah,
he's a bit bland, but...
Yeah, he's like if he was a spice, he would be flour. Like, he's not gonna lead you astray.
That's not an undesirable trait for marriage. That's a really good way to put it. I don't remember Edgewolf, but I do remember, like, very, very barely. Like, isn't Concession one of those, like, quote-unquote sexy furry comics? Isn't sex a whole big thing there?
I honestly do not recall. I just remember that, like, it kept fucking flip-flopping between fucking, like, oh, yeah, I'm so much smarter than everyone else. Can you imagine being religious? Fuck you. And then it became edgy jokes. And then there was some sex in it, I believe. And it was never considered. Like, I remember that it would at some points have a dude hanging himself for comedy. Like, he did the dumb thing, so now he hung himself. And then later on, they would have the exact same character be in a dilemma where their life is threatened. And it's like, why should I worry about this person's life when he has actually died like 5 times before now? Like, what the fuck?
That's a bit fun. I'll be honest, the only thing I remember about Concession is like the
infamous line.
I hate anything that has to do with furries.
Yeah.
And then look where we are now.
Oh boy.
Well, actually, I know that was the second question, but that kind of does bring up another question that was asked right next to it, so I'm going to ask it anyway. We've answered this before, but do you ever plan on doing Redux reviews on comics you've already covered? I love watching your old videos, but having a little video or stream where you go through and correct and react to your older content would be great to see how your opinions have changed over time. And this was from Caesar again.
I feel like when Yoshi P got asked for Charlie and housing. Okay. Yes. I definitely believe that we've talked about this on the podcast, but once more, yes, I would be interested in going back, but only for the sake of covering stuff that I haven't covered. Like, where has the comic progressed now? And even then, I'm going to I'm not gonna spend an entire episode on that. I want to have it like be 4 comics or something that I do this to. Again, I am of the opinion, and I even think we disagree on this, Cloudy, but that if I go back and I start reviewing it again, it sets like this horrible precedent where when I come out with a review of something and then I have set the precedent that I'm gonna at some point return and give it another review, why should you like take my word for it when I initially upload the first review? Because then it's like, I can just change my opinion later. It becomes like this kind of wishy-washy opinion about stuff. So I would rather have it be a thing where I can return to it later and cover the stuff I didn't cover last time, or go, yeah, it's still trash or something, and that, like, not actually analyze it to any like big extent, I suppose.
And yeah, like, we're not gonna get into this. So we did talk about this on the podcast, and yeah, you're right. We do disagree on this point. Where I personally think that like I think it does show more maturity if you're willing to like bend or change or reflect on like what your decisions were before and take into account like how things have changed. Because I do think that like when you look at one thing versus a comic, yeah, those beginning things could still be the same, but everything fucking changes. Like webcomics especially are a very fluid ass medium. Like the people, when you only have one person making a comic or story, and it's not like a team or like a published franchise, you can't always have the same like factory made produce story all the time. Like the author will grow and change. You will grow and change. The art will grow and change. Everything's always different. And it probably will, but the end of the story is 9 times out of 10 unrecognizable from where it started. And that's why I personally believe, like, if you were like a movie reviewer or like a video game reviewer strictly, I would totally be on board. It's just, I do think that like with things like webcomics, web series, like general like grassroots media or whatever you want to like call this nebulous bullshit, I do think it does deserve the merit of a second opinion. But again, that is me, and you are right in a lot of respects where you don't want to set the precedent of being wishy-washy, flip-floppy. But like that's both of our stance.
But yeah, I think we definitely like we're meeting a little bit in the middle there, where I definitely understand and concede that there is a reason for why you can go in and revisit a comic to see what has happened since I last covered it, because as you say, like these things constantly evolve, and that's what actually happened with Concession. When I initially reviewed it, I kept giving it like the maddest shit, and for good reasons too, I believe. But that was a point where I didn't necessarily read a comic all the way through, or it hadn't come out I don't recall. But I ended up revisiting it later, and it actually does evolve into some pretty interesting sort of okay drawn drama, and so I definitely got a different appreciation for the comic when I revisit it. So there is absolutely like a precedence for why I can do that. I think like the whole thing I'm tentative to do is just like go back and revisit the stuff I have like already covered, and then go, yeah, it's still shit, or it's bad, or maybe actually now that I look at it, it's actually good. Like, I don't think a whole lot of people are gonna get anything out of that. I think instead of looking at that, I would rather look at, but what happened afterwards? Like, did they take my suggestions, for example, or something like that? I remember again, I keep bringing up, but the house pets. How I started shitting on the website, and lo and behold, suddenly the website changed. It's like sometimes people listen, and so like there is definitely positives and negatives about it, but I also do want to like promote more of other comics. Then I want to retread the same ground over and over again. So that's why if I am to do this, which I probably will at some point, it's going to be where I cover multiple comics in one video, and then, and then like intersperse that with like new comics in between or something. I don't know.
I do think that is like the best compromise like this discussion could have ever ended in, because like I think we all do want to agree that like you don't want to always retread the same ground, especially when there's like a whole billions of webcomics out there.
Yeah,
that are, especially like not even just sitting out there in the open, but like just being made every day.
Yeah.
So if we are gonna do it and go back, like it's gotta be we're gonna be treading new ground. Like where you went from where the review ended to where is it now? That is like the best way to do it.
If there was a comic that I actually wanted to go back and kind of like revisit, it would probably be Gonna Crick Court that I think the chat is bringing up, because in that one, I don't know, for some reason I had just gotten it in my fucking head that this was a Harry Potter ripoff, and I didn't give it any quarter to be anything other than that, and I was fucking slaughtering it. But it's apparently really fucking good. So yeah, that one wasn't very good.
To be fair, like younger, not wise Riser had to learn a lot.
Yeah,
to be fair.
yeah.
We can recognize Fetish the comics now.
Even fucking like, I'm gonna put myself on blast real quick. Even like very very recent like videos. I've been watching a video that is just a fucking critique of Kingdom Hearts 3. This is like a full 5 hours of this dude.
Waste of effort, that thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Really good video, actually. And watching that reminded me of, like, I do have a deep-seating hatred for Kingdom Hearts. I think it's, it's fun, like, the gameplay is, but the story is, like, an insult to the senses, in my opinion. If you like it, that's fine. I'm not gonna take it away. Anyway, but I look at that, and then I'm reminded of my Faithful Hearts review, and I'm like, and when I think about that, I'm just like fucking like stroking my eyebrows, going, "What the fuck?" Because back then, I say as if it's that long ago, but it's only been a couple of years. But back then, when I was making these videos, like, I could tell now as a more mature and wiser lesson that I would use these as a platform to just talk about whatever the fuck, as is like highlighted in this video, because I spent the first like 20 minutes or some shit just dunking on Kingdom Hearts, when all I really had to do was say, hey, guess what? Kingdom Hearts is fucking trash. And then there's this comic that is worse. Like, but no, I had to go in about how I didn't like the way that it explained about who Ansem was through Jiminy Cricket's journal and shit. And like, what does this have to do with the comic? I'm still growing.
Oh god, I forgot it was like, it wasn't even that long for Faithful Hearts, because like I do not remember the review. I remember Kingdom Hearts was a big part of it, but I feel like that's only because you talked about Kingdom Hearts so much. A lot of it is just like, it's just a crossover of stuff.
Oh no, it is full on Kingdom Hearts ripoff.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, I remember more because you talked about it than I do the actual comics. What I'm trying to say.
And again, it's so weird that I had to like go on such a tirade about that, because there's so much to talk about there, because it's like the fucking chick was tracing all over.
Like, you could amazing. Like, you could do like an anti version of all your Lemmy Schoolias and your like analyzation videos of like video games, everything wrong to do with Kingdom Hearts storytelling.
Oh my god!
But I feel like that kind of negative energy would just burn you out.
I'm like, I feel like I'm doing that enough with like my reviews, like how I covered in Mid and Abyss about how you can appeal to pathos, and I use my deep-seating hatred for Nia's story to explain that. I don't think I have to make a whole video of like just negativity on dunking on Kingdom Hearts. Plus, like, what am I gonna like? Am I gonna say anything new? The story is spread all over a bunch of shit. It is needlessly convoluted. Disney is basically just a thing that is in there now to like gather attention to the game. It has nothing to do with the actual story, because Nomura is just doing what Nomura wants. Like, no, I don't want to do that. But I was about to say that at least my Lemmy Schoolia videos are not something that I feel I have been super wrong with, except I don't recall which one it is, but it's one where I'm talking about Batman and how there is a a like comic writer's rule or something like that, where I have misunderstood what that was, because I had understood it as like, hey, if you're making Batman, here are the rules that you have to like. This is what Batman can and can't do. Like Batman can't bring out a gun and shoot a robber in the mouth or something like that. That is not what that is. But yeah, I'm still learning, and I had a comment earlier last week about like, oh, okay, I actually want to bring that up real quick, even though we're like we're reaching it. I had a comment, and it was so fucking weird because it was about Yosh of all comics, where he was angry that I had made the joke at the beginning that Phil claimed that all of the wacky shit in Yosh was based on real life, and you know, I make the joke because it is so wacky and odd, but he's phrasing it in a way that's like, I can't make a comic about my real life because my real life is so boring. And then you have Kate who's talking about like the homicidal penguin because the penguin wants jello. I don't recall what it is, but it like the punchline is no, his real life is actually not that boring because all this fucking weird shit is going on. And so the fucking dude in the comments was like giving me a hard time, like, if you can't even understand this thing, how can you understand anything about the comic? Like, if you can't even get this fucking this one thing right, why should I listen to your review or something? And it's like, I mean, like, we've heard it from Phil himself when we had it on the stream that he based this on real life. It was like dramatized versions of like what he was doing at cons with his friends and stuff like that. There's multiple times in the comic where he's referred to as Philip Brown, which is Phil's name, and it's like, you know, you can't fucking like, there is this context for it. And so like I wrote back, admittedly passive aggressively, but I just woken up and read this thing. I was like, well, you know, like there's all these factors in, so I feel like I like that I have some credibility in this because I did my research on like you. And then he replied and was like really upset with me because like, oh, you fucking entitled YouTuber. If you had just said my bad and then like we wouldn't have a problem, but you had to be like holier than thou and write a fucking small essay. By the way, it was like 3 paragraphs or something. Like it was nothing. And I'm sat there going, why should I say my bad when I know for a fact, like I have heard from the creator himself that I was correct. Like why should I then go my bad? But that like I don't recall what exactly I wrote, because at that point I think I just wrote something to the effect of I don't see why I should like say my bad because I know for a fact that I was right, but hey, you came swinging at me, I came swinging at you. I'm not acting holier than thou because I'm a YouTuber. I am also just a dude, and that's kind of what ties into like what we were talking about before. I'm just a guy. Like, I'm gonna make mistakes. I have made mistakes, and I'm gonna keep making mistakes because I am just a guy. I am not big infallible YouTuber. I am not fucking god king of webcomics. I am a fucking guy who reads webcomics online and talks and I talk about what I think about them online while I crack a few jokes. I don't have a master's in writing. I am not a comic creator. I was a comic creator at one point, but like not a good one. Like I am the most nothing, but I'm just the fucking average Joe. So I'm gonna fuck up. I'm gonna say stupid shit. I'm gonna get things wrong. But in the end, these reviews are just from one consumer to the other.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion is not any more valid than yours. So, don't flip out if I get something wrong, because I'm just a fucking dude.
That's a good place to end off on.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, because we're pretty much setting up, like, just set it straight, man.
Yeah.
I think you said it perfectly.
So yeah, to that dude who got really angry, go with God. Wish you the best. I have, like, I don't know what else you want from me than tell you exactly what the creator of the thing told me. But yeah, if only the other internet reviewers were like you as a YouTuber, would be don't do that. I don't like that.
Don't do it.
Don't like that. No.
Good.
Again, just a dude. No, I am a fucking piece of trash too. I'm just not showing it. But yeah, I think that's a stream or a podcast.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
There was only like one more thing I had written down. I didn't really have much to talk about, so I'm just gonna say at the end before we can sign off. Apparently, Kubo answered a question on his like question and answer page about Bleach, and somebody asked, "Hey, did Momo and Aizen clap cheeks?" And he said, "I'm not gonna answer that." And then all of Japan went crazy, so now everyone thinks Aizen clapped Momo.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye!